So if I look at government policy and how things should be, to be honest, most of the policy's there's not that much that needs changing. What really needs to be done is that everybody gets exactly the same deal and gets exactly what they're entitled to. And for that, they need someone to guide them through. So that's my biggest thing, is to have someone to guide you through the system. And also to look at victims as victims of crime rather than of a particular crime. You can't judge the effect that a crime will have on someone by saying you're a victim of burglary or you're a victim of antisocial behaviour. And as you've seen, you've met some people now that, for one person, one person and the way it affects them is completely different to another person. We really need to be picking these people up and helping them stand on their own 2 feet, but also helping and asking what it is they need, what services they need to intervene on their behalf, or just give them a helping hand. And don't forget, only 3% ever get to court, so 97% of people don't even go through that process. So we need to ask people when they're reporting crime what it is they need, what it is the outcome that they're looking for, and how we go about getting that. So justice for some people might not always look like the way you would imagine, or the old-fashioned way of looking at it. There's lack of information going backwards and forwards. There's lack of information going between the agencies. So it's just really difficult to get hold of and find out what is going on with a crime that's happened to you. Now, you'd think you'd be one of the most important people in that investigation, and I think it's entirely natural that you should be the most important person in that investigation. Everything should be surrounded around you. But actually, it's not the way it goes. It then becomes focused on catching criminals, about making sure the guilty are behind bars, and about processes and all of those kind of things. And actually, victims tend to get left out, not out in the cold exactly, but really just, where do I go next? A lot of the things that we're suggesting is about joined up working and adult thinking, to be honest. But it's also about guiding people at a time when they need guidance to help them stay good members of society that they once were. Don't forget, these are victims of crime. This can happen to any single person you know, be they strong, weak, old, frail, young. It doesn't make any difference, because quite frankly, just you don't see it coming. Antisocial behaviour is not a lesser crime. It certainly isn't a low-level crime, and it is something that we all need to deal with. You have to address bad families, and you have to take them away, perhaps move them to other areas, or make them change their behaviour in whatever way you can. But really, it's about looking at the whole thing. And there are areas of antisocial behaviour that aren't antisocial; they're criminal, and we need to be running alongside of antisocial behaviour, criminal charges being brought to those that deserve it. But it shouldn't be up to one individual to stand up on their own. This is about everyone standing up. It's that old adage, you see something wrong on a bus, and if one person stands up, then, they might be in trouble. But if the whole bus stood up, then somebody would get off the bus, wouldn't they, quite quickly? And it's about that. It's about everyone standing up and saying this behaviour is no longer tolerable, and we're not going to have the vulnerable on our estate, or the vulnerable in my village, targeted in this way. If we have to spend, then we'll have to spend. But to be honest, this is about spending the money that we do have a lot more wisely, because there's a lot of waste in the system. People not getting support early enough just means that they will go further and further downhill, so then they will stop working, they will become perhaps under their doctor. All of those things further down the line actually just costs everybody more money.